From family events to volunteer opportunities to community happenings, there is a lot going on in your community. Learn about all the possibilities and opportunities on this episode of Community Hotline.
Hi, welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're here in Gresham at Metro East Community Media. Tonight, we're going to be talking with a couple of different organizations that are ones I've not talked with before, and I hope you'll find them interesting and educational and informative. And don't forget that Community Hotline is on Facebook, so be sure to like us there. First off, we're going to be talking with Springboard Innovation. With us tonight is the Vice President of the Board, Paul Osterlund. Thanks for being here, Paul.
Thank you.
Springboard Innovation, I can't remember where I actually first heard about it, but I read something in, I think it was a community paper or something about Springboard, and I was fascinated because it's a very innovative idea, and I like the whole concept of it. So you can probably better explain to our viewers than I can exactly what you do at Springboard Innovation.
Yeah, happy to do so.
Thank you.
Our mission is to enable community members, citizens, regular people, to design, build, and launch innovative and sustainable solutions to global and local problems. So that's a bit of a mouthful.
That's huge.
But
that's a
the
big
fact is, it's
undertaking.
about regular folks. So not MBAs, not some elite requirement, but people who want to make a difference.
And not people that just have lots of money either.
Yes, that's it, precisely. Regular folks.
Like you and me.
Like us.
Okay.
Who
So
want to
how
make a
does that-
difference
how does that
and
work?
don't know necessarily how to get from here to there, but are inspired or have an idea or
passion,
we have
perhaps,
a
for
passion.
something?
It's really about our passions or our concerns, the things which we want to address in life. And when I first heard about Springboard, it completely changed my perspective about how I was going to spend my retirement. So that was kind of a little bit of an aha.
So much for retirement, huh?
Yes, so much for retirement. It's not the retirement of golf and gardening.
No,
it's a retirement that's really about purpose.
Yeah, it's got purpose and it's got focus. That's wonderful.
So Springboard has programs in 4 focus areas.
Your core areas.
4 core
I
areas,
remember
right?
reading that. Okay.
Teach, convene, fund, and build. So in the area of teach, we have classes. The classes that would let people who say, gee, I'm really concerned about plastic in the environment. What do I do? How do I create an organization that can make a difference? Our training enables people to get from I wish I could to I'm in action doing so. So about designing, building, and launching innovative and sustainable solutions. By that we mean real breakthroughs, the opportunity to make a big difference, not just put a Band-Aid on a problem, but
Okay, so are you talking about creating a nonprofit organization?
Could be nonprofit, could be for-profit, could be some very interested hybrid models that combine some of both, but all about purpose. So if it's a for-profit, it's not about the purpose of raising money, but rather about the purpose of a mission.
Okay, so it's a different focus.
It's a different focus, and sometimes requires a different organizational structure. Maybe it's not a corporate structure.
Right.
Maybe it's something else. Although there are some interesting corporate structures that
So
can
do you
be.
help people explore those options as to what would work best for that particular passion or mission?
Absolutely, that's part of our training and part of the coaching, because not too many people know how to go about that or what the options are.
And it's rather a large undertaking it's a rather a daunting undertaking to try to start an organization to cure the world's ails.
Yes, in fact, the bigger the problem, the tougher the task,
Right,
certainly. And so we challenge ourselves and others to really dig deeply into what could we do that could make a difference.
So
and
teaching is one of them.
Teaching, and in that we try to identify what's the problem that we want to address, not just what's my good idea, but rather what's the problem and how is this going to bring a truly innovative solution to that problem. So that's what the teach focus is about.
All right.
Then there's convene. Convene is really about getting together.
Right.
And we have monthly forums. We had one last night, in fact, on alternative financing methods to keep our money locally in the community.
Good deal.
Kind of an interesting thing. had 65 folks in the room.
Really? Good turnout.
And we brought some people up from California and had 4 speakers who presented some really novel thinking about how to approach creative financing and what would enable us to keep, there's a term called leakage, when our funds go out of the community and they're supporting some other place, who knows where.
Right. How to keep it here, keep it local.
Keep it much more locally.
Sure.
So one of the big things in that, for example, may be to take our money from the big banks that are the international or big nationals and bring it to local credit unions or locally based financial institutions. That's keeping it local.
Right.
So just
little things like
those
that.
little things, which can actually add up to very big things, because it enables that credit union to recycle that money in the community to do you and I some good.
Sure, that makes sense.
So that's an example of a convening.
Okay.
It's also an educational opportunity, but it's also people getting together.
Right,
It's
networking.
us, exactly.
Sharing ideas.
And the 65 people in the room were very engaged in this process.
bet they were.
We had about an hour of just free-flowing discussion following. Very interesting stuff. So that's kind of an idea of convene. Then there's fun. What we realized early on is if we want people to go down this path, we've got to enable them with some funding at startup.
That's probably, I would think, the biggest roadblock for most organizations getting
And
started.
the most vulnerable time is that early time. I've got a great idea. It's even something which is innovative and can make a big difference.
And if it's still an intangible and it isn't yet up and working, then that's where it's hard to get the funding.
And most funders want to know, when you're way down this road, we may be interested, but what at the beginning?
Right, when you need
Good
it most.
luck.
Yes.
And our position at Springboard is we've got to fill that gap. So we created something called Change Exchange. It's an online tool, and it enables people who have good ideas to, so Springboard has, I think we have 11 or so right now on Change Exchange, and it allows citizens to make a donation to the startup of that. We might think of it as Kickstarter for social innovation.
Now, are these organizations that they would be making a donation to, are they already 501c3s?
They may be, or they may be so new.
That they're
Again,
not there
we're in
yet.
this very vulnerable startup,
right.
probably before they've even applied to the IRS for that designation. It took me 2 years to create the nonprofit that I started, so I know it's a long, long process. So again, this is about enabling that startup and funding those worthy, good, purposeful ideas that have a chance of making a huge difference. So that's an example of fund. Then build is our fourth area. And build is really about creating the municipal infrastructure, the community-based infrastructure that would enable folks to move down this path. In fact, accelerate their process down the path.
Okay, give me an example of how you do that.
So one example is we created something called Innovative Cities. It not only applies here in Portland, but in many cities have embraced this. And it's really a method of measuring what we have in the community that can enable this, and how sufficient are we equipped with the resources. So do we have attorneys, for example, who know how to operate somewhere between a nonprofit and a for-profit in this new territory of
kind of
hybrid models?
Gray area right now.
It's a gray area. There are not many people with experience. Do we have accountants with this kind of experience? All the things that any startup would need, but really targeted to this very specialized mission-based, purposeful work. So that's an example of build, though the biggest project that we're undertaking in Portland is something we call Hatch.
That's what I read about. I think it was in the Oregonian, I think.
It was, probably the Business Journal.
Yes.
Article in the Business Journal. We actually have made an offer on a building. We're still in process of doing the due diligence, but we intend to buy a 50,000 square foot building and create a facility here in Portland that really serves the whole community and really accelerates this. So located in that facility would be all of those resources that you or I may need.
So for example, would attorneys and accountants be there, have an office there, or would they just be?
Exactly. Be there and have an office there.
Okay.
Financial institutions, be there and have offices there. And they're there to do the work they do in the community in general, but specifically to be available to those new launchers, of new
Right.
enterprises that need that care and feeding at the beginning of their process. So this has really come about through our own experience. We've just discovered that it takes too long and not as many people can get down this path as. So if you look at the rate at which the problems are occurring in our world and the rate at which we're able to deal with those problems, we have a great mismatch.
Yeah,
We've
there's
got to
plenty
bring
to be
these,
done.
there's more to be
Yes,
done
yes.
than we can possibly.
And I imagine there's a lot of people out there with the energy and enthusiasm and passion for those kind of missions, but they don't know how to begin,
Yep.
or they don't have the funding, they don't have the infrastructure, as you say,
Very accurate.
to do that. So this new building, if I remember, is over on Broadway, right close off the freeway, off
Yes,
of I-5.
very central. It has the new
location.
streetcar runs on each side of the building.
Good.
It's was really our favorite target for access by people coming from
Yeah, that's a really good
bicycle,
location.
walking, busing,
Good
Max,
location. Yes.
streetcar, all of that, as well as the community, the neighborhood people around that area. So we think it's an ideal location.
This is going to be a big,
It's a big 50,000 square feet is a
that's a
lot
lot.
of building
That's a lot.
and a very expensive
I'm sure.
undertaking. And that's what we're confronting at the moment. How do we do what the real costs are here?
Right.
And yet we're convinced this is one of the most essential. In fact, most places outside of the US, Europe, and Canada are much farther down this path of
really?
enabling social innovators to start mission-based.
Have you done studies in that? Has
Oh, yes,
Springboard done
yes,
that to
yes.
gain some wisdom from what they've gone through
Yes,
already?
and still we don't see a model that so what we're inventing here, this thing we call Hatch, we've really made this up. There's no historical precedent for us to look at and say we're going to do it like they did it because they were successful. We can see the best of at each location, and we're borrowing the best of.
So if this is a very successful undertaking, you will become the model for the rest
And
of
that's part of our intention. It's not only as a facility for us in Portland, it's a model for other communities to embrace. And we've spent 2 years just figuring this thing out.
I have no doubt.
So
what
we
is your
don't-
timeline for, or do
We
you have a
hope
timeline
to,
right
yes,
now?
we do. And we hope to be in the building by so about a year and a quarter from now.
Oh, really?
We are expecting our tenants to be able to move in, we to be able to move in. Now that's, if all things work as we hope.
Right.
And of course, there are always challenges. These are 100-year-old buildings that
This is the
are-
old Broadway furniture
it's the
store.
old Broadway furniture store that still exists as a functioning business today and has two buildings sort of joined together, and we're really opening that up into one building that will have beautiful light and wonderful place for people to be.
great.
So it's a place that will compel people to want to be there and engage in what goes on there. And the building is all about this purpose. So it's a building with a mission.
Wonderful. Yeah, which fits in perfectly to what you're doing. Now we're almost out of time. So tell me, what are the most important things you want people to take away from this conversation about Springboard? If they have an idea, a passion, an idea, what do they need to do if they think they might want to move forward
Well,
with that?
certainly reach us at Springboard.
Okay.
Although we're very focused on this new Hatch project, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
little hard to do that and many of the other things.
You're doing your own project right now.
Yes, and yet.
But you can still help out. You still have
Yes.
to teach, fund, convene, and build.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I find when I'm in the environment where this conversation is going on, I'm a better me.
Brings out the best in you.
It does. And I think that's true for others. We certainly observe that in those who come and want to be a part of creating a new future. And it's really nothing less than that we're up to. This is creating a new future.
Good work, Paul. This is a good stuff.
Yeah,
Good.
thanks.
Well, congratulations for being part of such an innovative organization. That's wonderful. And perhaps sometime you can, when we have more time, you can come on and tell me about your nonprofit, because I imagine you used help from Springboard to get that going.
Absolutely. It
So
was
I-
through the trainings of Springboard that I
Yeah.
founded.
And if
Yep.
I had more time, I'd like to hear more
Ah,
about
very
that.
good.
So that'll be another conversation.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being on here, Paul. I appreciate it. This was our first segment of Community Hotline. It went by way too fast, but if you're interested in finding out more about Springboard Innovation, be sure to check out their website. The information will be at the bottom of your screen. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Evergreen Aviation. We're going to talk about their Space Museum and their new water park. Remember, you can take part in the discussion online. Visit our blog and tell us about your experiences at communityhotline.wordpress.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Facebook page, too. You can see what's going on behind the scenes, find out about fun contests we're running, and link to some of the great organizations that have been on at facebook.com/communityhotline Metro East. See you online.
Everyone needs a helping hand at some time or another.
A hand up, not a handout.
Who would you turn to if you couldn't pay your rent and were facing eviction?
Who would help you if your power got turned off?
Who would you call if you didn't have anywhere to sleep?
You may not need help, but someone out there does.
Help families in need in your community. Call Human Solutions.
Human Solutions.
503-548-0200.
Does your school have an art program? Have you ever thought about the importance of art education? Through art, students uncover unique ways to understand the world around them. Through art, students discover different approaches to learning. Through art, students can reveal their full potential. Art does have a place in schools. To learn more about art advocacy and how to help prevent art from being brushed aside, contact the Oregon Art Education Association.
A place to grow,
To learn.
To be happy.
To interact.
To play.
To observe.
To live. Parks enhance the health and quality of life in our communities. Support your local parks. People for Parks, East County.
The League of Women Voters makes history.
Our country would not be the same without their dedication.
Formed by women who organized to win women the right to vote.
It is now a co-ed organization.
Studying, informing, and acting.
Nonpartisan.
Grassroots.
Influential.
Taking political stands on many issues.
The League of Women Voters encourages all citizens to be informed and active in government. Join the League of Women Voters of East Multnomah County in making history today.
Volunteers are the cornerstone of local communities, and they enjoy the satisfaction that comes from being part of something larger than themselves. Multnomah County invites citizens to participate in projects that benefit the greater good of our residents.
No matter where your interests lay, there is a volunteer opportunity for you. From helping families through hard times, to working on a citizen advisory board, to making your neighborhood the place you want to live. The opportunities are endless.
Through offering your time and talents, you can help provide programs and services that benefit all of us. You have the potential to make Multnomah County a better place to work, play, and live.
Volunteering builds skills, provides insight into professions, and engages people in important actions. It shapes both you and your community. Plus, volunteering is fun.
To get involved, contact the Office of Citizen Involvement. Go to citizenweb.org. Shape your community. Volunteer.
Hi, welcome back to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're back here at Metro East Community Media. I'm glad you stayed with us because today we're going to be talking with Larry Wood, who is the Executive Director of Evergreen Wings and Waves Water Park, and then the Space Museum.
Well, Aviation and Space Museum.
Aviation Space
We got
Museum.
lots of stuff.
You have everything going on down there,
yeah.
Larry. That's become like the go-to place in that part of Oregon, isn't it?
Well, and it's not getting smaller. We're going to add a lodge next spring, start on that. And then after that, we'll add another building. We're having a ropes course put in now. We're going to have a zip line, a new Boy Scout campground. So we're not done. We're still building.
Wow. Now, how long have you been with Evergreen?
The whole time I started as a volunteer in 2006, and then I started as the education director in 2008 and became the executive director in 2010.
You gotta be careful with that volunteering.
Yeah,
you never know where it's going to end up. You end up with a career.
It'll get you every time.
That's great. So this started out, give me a little background on how the whole thing started out. I mean, it started out small and now it's like mushrooms. So give me a little background.
The museum was the idea of Michael King Smith, who is Delford Smith's son. Delford Smith, Mr. Smith, owns Evergreen, the company.
Okay.
And Michael had the idea to have a museum because the company had some World War II airplanes, Corsair and Beef-17 and some others. And so Michael said, let's build a museum. So his father said, sure, we'll put it over here in this building. And then Michael put forth a proposal that got the spruce goose up here, as you recall, in 1992, 1993. Well, that changed the whole complexion. Now you have to build a big building to put the big airplane in. So the airplane actually got here in 1993, and we opened the first museum, big building, in 2001 on the 6th of June. There's a pattern here.
Okay.
And so we put the goose in there. We started with the goose and 20 airplanes. And that was the start of it. In 2007, we opened the IMAX Theater. And that, was not on the 6th of June, but the Space Museum opened on 2008 on the 6th of June, and the water park in 2011 on the 6th of June.
Wow.
D-Day, it's kind of a nice connection for our veterans. But
yes, yeah, oh, okay. Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
So it has mushroomed. It's really a big deal now. So are you involved with all aspects of it, or just the water park? Right?
No, the whole place.
You're the whole darn place.
Well, yeah, they pick on me for everything.
So if there's a problem, we know who to blame it on.
That's exactly correct.
Good, got that right. So I know we have the water park is the newest thing, right? And I think we have some pictures from the water park. So let's start. If we can bring up some of those pictures, maybe you can tell us what it is that we're looking at here, because this looks like it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
And this is strange because this is a nonprofit water park, and they're not normally that way.
Really?
Yes, it's educational. That's the building itself. It's easy to recognize.
With the big plane on top?
Yeah, 747-100 on top, 352,000 pounds of airplane, and it's huge. So it doesn't look big in the picture, but when you get there, it's like, holy moly.
Shortly, I flew into a little plane into McMinnville Airport shortly after that was put on there, and I was blown away by that. It's like, oh my God.
If you go to the website, there's a video of lifting the airplane, and that's way cool.
Wow. Okay.
This is inside. This is a play structure. All water parks have a play structure. So this is in the front of the building, and there's a Evergreen helicopter up there with a water bucket like we were putting out a forest fire. And a target on the ground that says it takes 300 gallons of water to put out the fire in one tree. Look up and you're going to get wet.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that looks like fun.
It is. Very exciting. And lots of water coming out all over everywhere. And,
Okay.
This is one of the tubes. The 4 big slides start up inside the airplane, come out right behind the wing, go down and
around on the building. Into the airplane?
Go upstairs into the airplane, into the slides, go a little round and round on the ceiling, on the roof, and then down into the building. This is the slide we call a nosedive, and actually goes into the building, goes down at a 30-degree angle, about 30 feet, and then enters a large 58-foot in diameter bowl, and you go round and round and round,
like
and
then
down the bottom.
Bowl.
Oh, yeah, they told me you were going to say that.
Oh, they did.
And I usually don't call it that. It's like the sink, okay? But that's how it works. It's a lot of fun.
That looks like fun.
This is the wave pool, kind of looking toward the south. You can see the play structure back there in the background, and the slides are the bright orange, yellow, and green and blue things back there. So this is a 91,000 gallon wave pool, and it makes waves about 18 inches high, and then it goes into a different pattern, and when it gets into the different patterns, they get bigger, they get smaller, they do all kinds of stuff. It's like the ocean, though. If you're not paying attention, it's going to face plant you if you're not watching. This is the other way. You're looking at the wave pool, looking toward the north now, and there's a large screen TV at the end of it, and we put on movies up there called dive-in movies after the park closes at 8.
Instead of drive-in, we have dive-in.
Dive-in. Now you float around in your inner tube and watch the movie. We have to turn the thing off, or it's so noisy you can't hear the movie. But the waves are really spectacular. You can see the space theming, the Apollo rockets on both sides, and there's an educational facility on the top with interactives for kids to learn about water, learn about the river, learn about space, learn about Bernoulli, who makes airplanes fly and all that stuff. So it's educational.
So you're going to learn something while you're having a good time.
Well, that's the goal. And, it's fun to watch how that thing works and actually look at the engineering. How do you get a big airplane up there? It's an engineering problem. And the Oregon State Standards now have a set in the science standards about engineering. And so we can actually talk to a kid about how do you engineer getting an airplane on the roof? How do you make the roof work? How do you keep the airplane up there when the wind blows? Airplanes want to fly when the wind blows. Airplanes want to turn into the wind when the wind blows. So there's lots of engineering problems in there. And then we can talk about water. And I think we were talking about that a little earlier in your last guest. And, water's a shortage. Even here in Oregon, we can have droughts and have adventures. How do you manage that stuff? If you take the water to do this, then you may not have the water to do that. And that's important. And we can talk about that actually in the water park.
Wow. So kids do learn a lot of stuff. Do you have a lot of school trips?
Oh, yes.
Field trips?
We saw this year, and the water park opened in June after obviously school's out, but we'll have about 14,000 kids come through the museum and the water park, one or the other. It's tough to do both in one day.
Yeah, I imagine.
And those are a lot of fun, and there's an educational part to that, and there's some fun to that, and also a chance to look at the airplanes. But we do get money from grants and from donors, and we'll sponsor low-income kids at a school. So if you're coming from a school that has very low-income people, we'll help you get there.
Oh, that's
you
great.
may have to buy the bus, but we'll figure out what
yeah.
to do with you when you get there.
That's great.
And it's very
Good
exciting.
opportunity for the kids.
And we have an outreach program that we don't charge for, and we'll see about 25 to 30,000 kids there. I have a young man in a van, and he has some toys and some things that he takes with him. And he'll teach your class for you if you're a teacher for an hour, 2 hours, all day if you want, and actually take them through some basic educational things, some engineering problems, as well as some of those aviation problems. How an airplane works, why helicopters turn their wings, and all that other stuff.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun. And we go about 100 miles away from McMinnville. We're not quite big enough to do OMSI and go all the way to Southern Oregon yet, but we're working on it.
But it's a great thing to do especially in that part of Oregon. I mean, now that's like wine country and plenty of things for the adults to do. And this is something that the whole family can do.
This is a whole family activity. And the museum is huge, if you've seen it. There are two great big buildings, and then the water park, and then the IMAX theater. This is a 2-day trip, unless you're really nuts. If you spend 4 hours in that water park going up those 6 flights of stairs to get that airplane, and then try to walk through those 2 buildings, you're going to be really tired.
Yeah.
I brought my grandsons down from Seattle at 8 and 10, and they went to the water park at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they left at 5, and the only reason they left at 5 is they had to be home. Grandma said dinner's at 6. And you don't mess with Grandma. She makes the cookies, okay?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So
got to get your priorities.
Shortly after dinner, 2 boys went bonk. They were
I bet.
out.
They were exhausted.
But they had a wonderful time. And I don't say that because I'm the water park guy.
Right. No, I have
because
no
I'm
doubt.
Grandpa. And they really had fun.
Water parks are fun anyway.
Oh, yes.
So you get out there and
sure.
Go down the slides?
The night we did it with the rest of the staff, I had to do an interview. So I didn't get to go. And I'll do it. I'm just waiting for the right time. I'm trying to make sure nobody, 68-year-old bodies are not supposed to show up in swimming suits without a little help. So, yeah.
I think that's great. But I bet you get all ages there.
Oh, yeah. No, we do. And there's a special price for Grandma that wants to come watch. Not that you're Grandma, but a special price for Grandma that doesn't want to swim. So you don't have to swim. So we have a price for that. And it's just, I have to pay somebody something to come in because you're in.
Yeah, right.
And the money from the water park goes into the museum. And the goal is that the water park will allow the museum to continue to grow. As museums go, we're pretty fortunate in that our admissions actually cover the overhead of most of the overhead of running the building.
Oh,
in other words, my salary's paid from that. And we get some help from grants, but most of it's from that. Now the growth has come from outside, and the water park will help us continue to grow. The Air Force gives me an airplane, for instance, loan me an airplane. I have to go to Tucson and pick it up. And picking an airplane up and moving it from Tucson to
it's rather a big undertaking, I imagine.
Not cheap.
Yeah, I bet it's not.
But fun, and great fun to watch.
I bet.
Oh yeah, challenging.
So people coming, from out of town. I mean, obviously, this is a great thing for anybody in Oregon to do, and it's an easy thing because it's very centrally located in the state. But people coming from out of town, they need to come and they need to go to McMinnville and they need to stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants and.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is
I imagine it's really a good thing for the economy.
Oh, sure. The goal is, everybody in Portland that goes to Lincoln City goes through McMinnville on the bypass.
Right.
And we want people to stop in McMinnville. So that's why the lodge, that's why this is what's going on. And we want people to stay. And McMinnville, if you've read the paper and followed Bon Appetit, I sound like the Chamber of Commerce.
Restaurants. Oh my goodness.
Yes, they have become a foodie.
Oh my,
best
I know.
Foodie
Trust
small
me,
town.
I always read about food, Larry. I know.
Well, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But the restaurant of the year is there, and so there's lots of cool Thistle, according to the Oregonian.
Thistle.
And so there's great places to eat. There's enough vineyards there you could rot your liver out if you tried to hit them all. But they're really, and they change.
I'd like to try just a few.
Well, they change quickly. Oh, they're really lovely.
Yeah.
The Oregon Pinots are great. We actually have some that have our label on it. Spruce
really?
Goose. Yes.
Oh.
There's a vineyard right there. The water park sits in the vineyard. We lost some grapevines to the water park.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, you got to look, pay attention. They're harvesting tonight.
Yes, I do have to pay attention.
Yeah. But, so that's going on. And, it's a great place to come and stay. And it's not horrifyingly expensive. But water parks are amusements. They're not a swimming center. They're not a place you go swim for a couple hours and spend a couple bucks. This is going to cost you, but it's like what you would spend to go to other amusements.
Right.
Certainly not Disneyland prices, but at the same time, not.
But it's doable, and then
not other things. Yeah. And you do it once, twice, 3 times a year, something like that. And there are specials. Keep your eye on the website.
Okay. So tell me about this lodge.
The lodge is going to be built between the Aviation Museum and the water park, and it'll be about 84 to 90 rooms, depending on which set of plans you're looking at. They're really still in the planning phase. And it will have some suites. This is not low quality.
No.
This is going to be a quality place, but it's not going to be the upper end either.
Right.
This isn't going to be $850 a night, trust me.
Good,
there are
I
some
won't come if it is.
well, there are some family rooms, and there are some rooms for other people. And of course, the Evergreen Company is across the street, and we get a lot of visitors that come in there, and we suddenly realize we're paying for somebody else's hotel. Maybe we should build our own.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. It just fits right in.
It'll be part of a nonprofit, and we'll occupy an educational facility there. We're already talking to Chemeketa Junior College down in Salem, and also in McMinnville, about using their students as hospitality people to get them internships and some practice.
On-the-job training and internships.
Also in the culinary, and also, and the wait staff,
hotel management and that kind of stuff.
And it should be good for the kids, and it should be fun for us, and certainly a nice addition to the community. McMinnville's a pretty small place.
But it's growing like crazy.
Well, and we're helping.
Yeah, it's one of the up-and-coming cities, really, in the nation, I think. It's one that's...
It's a pretty little downtown. It's a very nice little place.
Nice.
There's some great shops. There's some great restaurants. There's some fun to be had. There's,
and there's Evergreen.
And we got us.
So there you go. So before we go, what's your favorite part of the whole thing? What do you like? What do you like going to?
I'm a retired military pilot, so you got to be very careful. I will go to the airplanes, and if you take a tour with me, it's going to take some time.
You're going to tell us everything we ever want to know and more.
Oh yes. The real thing I think is my favorite is our volunteer corps. We have about 300 volunteers, which is eye-watering for where we are.
Yeah.
And they tell the best stories, and they take each other's stories. And so pretty quick, whichever docent volunteer takes you around, you're going to get a different set of stories every time, and they're fun.
So don't do it just once, do it a few times.
No.
You hear something different. I like your tie, by the way.
Oh yes, my spruce goose tie.
Yes, that's very nice. Okay, well, we're out of time, Larry. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to go down there and check it all out. So, I might come look you up if you're there.
Please, I'll be there. I'm there all the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure having you on.
You bet.
If you would like more information on Evergreen, on the Wings and Waves Water Park, perfect name, be sure to check out their website, or go ahead and the information's at the bottom of your screen, so be sure to check that out. And make sure you make it a destination weekend. Go down, stay when the new lodge is open, and in the meantime, there's lots to do in McMinnville. So don't go away. I'll be right back with Ride Connection. My name is Monica Weitzel, and you're watching Community Hotline.
Remember, you can take part in the discussion online. Visit our blog and tell us about your experiences at communityhotline.wordpress.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Facebook page, too. You can see what's going on behind the scenes, find out about fun contests we're running, and link to some of the great organizations that have been on at facebook.com/communityhotline Metro East. See you online.
Hi, I'm Luke Perry. You're watching Metro East. Over 25 years of great community media.
Alone, our reach is limited. No matter how great our intentions, on our own, we can only stretch so far. But at Rotary, we believe the right group of people Working together can make our communities, our world, a better place. Rotary, humanity in motion.
¿Están listos?
Free GED classes.
Are you ready? Clases gratis de inglés.
Yo estoy lista.
Transportation for free.
I'm ready.
Clases gratis de computación. ¿Qué listos?
We're ready.
Come to Listos. If we can do it, you can do it.
What am I supposed to do with all these corks?
Turn them into a cork board.
What about all these floppy disks?
How about a fantastic journal?
I wouldn't learn how to make cool things like that.
Well, come on down to Scrap. Scrap has monthly workshops where you too can learn how to make great things. We provide everything you need. For more information, call 503-294-0769 or go to www.scrapaction.org. Scrap. Create more, consume less.
Many people are aware of the problems of hunger and poverty, but few realize how severe these issues are in East County. Every winter we find hungry and homeless people on our streets. Here at SNOCAP, we combat these problems by bringing together the people who have with those who have not. SNOCAP is a nonprofit organization dedicated to serving the needs of low-income persons living in the East Metro area. With the help of community members and the support of local businesses, SNOCAP feeds over 4,000 people per month and distributes clothing to more than 1,000 people per month. You can help SNOCAP by donating your time, donating food or clothing, or making a financial contribution. To find out more, contact SNOCAP at 503-674-8785 or on the web at www.snowcap.org.
Volunteers are the cornerstone of local communities, and they enjoy the satisfaction that comes from being part of something larger than themselves. Multnomah County invites citizens to participate in projects that benefit the greater good of our residents.
Help provide services to thousands of your neighbors. Sound impossible? 1,700 members of your community are already doing this, and so much more, by volunteering with Multnomah County Library.
Library volunteers help their neighbors by teaching computer skills, shelving materials, and promoting literacy in the community. The library provides a wide array of services, including lending popular books and DVDs, computer access, and life-enriching activities.
Give a neighbor a helping hand and spend a couple hours a week at the library, making your community a better place.
To find out more about this volunteer opportunity, visit their website. To explore other volunteer opportunities, contact the Office of Citizen Involvement. Shape your community.
Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here at Metro East Community Media in Gresham. And now today for our last guest, we have with us Ride Connection. Ride Connection has been with us before, but we have a new program we want to tell you about. The Transportation Coordinator, Leslie Garth, is here with us again. Thank you, Leslie, for being here again.
Good day.
Always good to see you. You know, when I'm not running into you at some volunteer event or seeing you on the streets as we pass each other, we're 2 blocks away from each other.
Right.
It's good to have you here. So for those who don't know, well, excuse me, before I forget, I'm sorry. And our other guest is Chuck Michelle, who's a volunteer driver with the new program we're going to talk about. And so we'll get back to you, Chuck. Leslie, tell me a little bit about Ride Connection, and for those who may not know about it and exactly what it is you do.
Okay, what we do is provide transportation to seniors and people with disabilities to appointments. Appointments can range from doctor's appointments, visiting their spouse in a nursing home, grocery shopping, getting their hair done, recreational trips we do. We also work in partnerships with some of the couple of local churches that borrow our vehicles so people seniors and people with disability can go to church on Sundays. So our goal is to get people mobile and in the community and active.
Keep those people from being housebound and
Absolutely.
shut in. And you use a lot of volunteers.
Yes, we are actually volunteer heavy, I'd like to call it, because we do have 3 part-time drivers. And when I say part-time, I mean literally part-time. And we have about, I want to say about 9 active volunteers for Ride Connection program in East County. And then when we talk about this program, Veterans Program, we actually have about 5 volunteers currently that's helping assist with that program.
Okay, now before we talk to Chuck, who is a volunteer with this new program, this new program is called Veterans Program.
Yeah, we call it.
Simple name. I like that. Easy to remember. What instigated this? Why did this start?
Okay, well, what we call it is the Multnomah County Veterans Program. I personally like to call it the Heroes Helping Heroes. Chuck has a different name, but everybody, to me, it's veterans helping veterans.
So it's veterans who are driving, who are volunteering, and driving other veterans?
Yes. What occurs is that we have volunteer drivers who are actually, retired from the military. Some different branches, and what they do is volunteer their time to take other veterans or their spouse to appointments. So this is something that has occurred in Washington County, and it's been up and running, I want to say a good 6 months, and then we've actually got this program started. Actually, last month, I think it was the first, I think, and Chuck was, Chuck was actually our first volunteer to successfully go through the program, and he actually was the first volunteer to do the first trip for the Veterans Program. So I'm excited.
First up.
Why are you involved in this program? What's your incentive to do this?
I was thinking at the time, call it a couple of months ago, about some type of volunteering and so forth, and I was thinking of the Veterans Administration.
And you're a veteran yourself?
I am a veteran of the Army, and although not retired from the Army, but I served my time. I thought about the Veterans Hospital or something to do with the veterans. My reluctance there was I drove to Swan Island from Troutdale for 30 years, and I wasn't real excited about
making that
enduring
drive
that
again.
commute again.
Yeah.
Okay, on a regular.
Be nice to stay out on this
on a regular
this part
basis.
Of town.
Although I had still that was still in the back of my mind. Saw an article in the Gresham Outlook about this Drive a Hero program, as they call it.
Drive a Hero program.
It's what they call it. I think that's where I came up with that, but. I thought, that could be right up my alley.
Yeah.
And so I called their office, talked to Trink yesterday, and the rest is history, as they say. I think that, the basic motivation, if you will, is payback. My wife and I, my family as such, have been very fortunate, and we have the time to do that now that we're both retired and everything. So it just, I haven't been involved really in much volunteering, or I'm not a compulsive volunteer.
You're not a lifetime
person
volunteer person like some people.
Although my mother, Elaine Thompson, who lives in Prineville, she was the Crook County Citizen of the Year because of her volunteering. And so there may be a genome in my DNA there someplace. And my brother, Denny, lives in Roseburg, and he volunteers at the Vets Hospital down there.
Yeah. See, I think it's really important for parents to model that for their kids, that volunteering is important, because it does trickle down.
Well,
it does,
and it's not anything that certainly that she forced me into, but I saw how rewarding it was, and how well it made her feel and everything. So
it does.
So I think that was. Like I say, may be in the DNA or something, but I wanted to do something just because I could.
So how is it working out? How does it make you feel when you're
Very rewarding.
Is it?
Very rewarding.
Give me an example of something that you've been able to do in this short time that you've been involved in the program.
Well, one of my first runs was to the Vets Hospital.
Yeah, I was thinking. I bet you a lot of the appointments are.
It is
a lot of the
in this
to the
program.
veterans.
Yes,
in this one.
they're not 100% there, but just, you know, we're going to go to the Vets Hospital
Heading
from
up
East
the
County.
hill.
These people need the rides and so forth.
That's a kind of a long ride from East County, too.
One of the runs I had, I took a gentleman to the Vets Hospital and had a pickup, and we do a lot of dropping off, picking up. Maybe we'll wait for somebody, but if it's a long time, why? And this comes into Leslie's area. There,
Handle it,
she
Leslie.
has to
Figure
do all
it
the
out.
hard work.
Yeah.
All we have to do is show up, and it's quite a coordination problem. But the fellow that I was supposed to pick up, and we drop off at the Vets Hospital, and we pick up at the Vets Hospital. That's the instructions they're giving when we're going to that area. Well, this gentleman had a procedure that had to be done at OHSU.
Oh,
and so
which is right up there, but it's not at the
He is, and they're instructed once they finish their procedures, why they are to go back to the Vets Hospital because that's our destination. And of course, if it's tight coordination, why it's almost necessary to do that. But at the same time, I had a little bit of extra time, and so I checked, and there's quite a administrative process up there. A lot of people going through, and, and even physically to find where you're going is very difficult. But I had a little bit of extra time, so I started checking through the process, and I found his name. And of course, the first thing they ask you for up there is, well, what's the last 4 digits of his Social Security number?
Which you wouldn't know, of course.
I don't know, but I flashed my badge.
Your Ride Connection badge.
Which is about like a business card. But I said, well, I'm a volunteer driver, and I would like to go pick him up at his location at OHSU.
So he didn't have to go back to the VA
It was a fairly
hospital.
complex procedure that he was going through.
But good for you for doing that, taking a little extra.
So that's part of the rewarding part. I was able to not only volunteer to do this, but to kind of take that extra step.
Yeah. So what all is involved? What kind of a commitment do you need to make to be a volunteer driver for Ride Connection?
As
for the
much
Veterans
or
Program?
as much or as little as you want time-wise.
Okay.
As far as the training, I'll let Leslie talk a little bit more
training
about that.
is usually the same for any driver, which is we do a DMV background check. We do a criminal background check. Once that clears, we do a vehicle orientation. We do a road test. And then they're required to take 2 in-class trainings for 4 hours each. And, you know, Chuck is kind of unique because he has...
Thank you.
You know, is that he's able to drive one of our company vehicles, buses, and he can drive his own personal vehicle.
Oh, okay.
We do have a kind of combination of the volunteers that we do have for this program that do both, and then others who prefer to just drive their own vehicles, which is actually what we're leaning towards because we don't have a lot of vehicles in our fleet.
If you want
so
to take more people, more places.
Right. So we have people scattered all over Multnomah County, and if we can have someone that lives close to someone in Northeast area to take them up to the VA, then that's what we like to do instead of having someone come out to Gresham or finding another location to find another vehicle.
Logistically, that makes sense.
Yes. So so this is kind of unique. We also, I had to toot our horns on this one because East County had their first stand down. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And what occurs, maybe you can.
Stand down is a military term when your mission is completed and you disband. They do this in Salem a lot with our guard units that have been over, Iraq, Afghanistan. And a stand down, that just means the final, everybody says goodbye and you furl the flag and go. Well, we're using this, the Vets Administration sponsors these stand downs for veterans needy veterans, basically. Not just needy, but the people that have, we can help them with paperwork. They have all kinds of booths set up, and there are vouchers for dentists. They get free haircuts there.
Yes.
It's just a.
Okay, so I'm unclear on this.
So
how does this play into Ride Connection?
What happened was we had our first stand down in East County, which was great because they usually have them in Portland. They're usually accessible.
It's like an event?
It's an event. And what occurs is that they bring in people, vendors, and they work with the military to bring in clothing. We had blankets, they had shoes, they had people come in and do haircuts, they had people assist with we had transportation was dealt with. We had also, there was employment information. So just kind of a gamut of things for just all services for veterans who may not know that's there. So and they can also get clothing, and they got fed.
Nice. Where was this?
This was at the chapel in Troutdale. And what we did was provide transportation from all the city halls in the Gresham Transit Center, but Chuck we did a special run, and we call it the Run to the Mountains.
The Run to the Mountains.
And literally that's what he did. He went to the mountains.
Like Sandy zigzag up there, or what?
Yeah,
yes.
well, it was scheduled to start at government camp.
Wow.
But as you know, and they needed to sign up for this, so we had some kind of idea. And there were a number of no-shows, but bottom line is, we got what we wanted, and there will be more as this thing progresses.
Right.
Same as with the Drive a Hero program. And that's why we're here. The more publicity we get, the more requests there are going to be, and at the same time, we're doing okay now, but as we get more people, we're going to need more drivers.
So how many drivers are in the program now for
Currently,
the veteran?
5.
For the veterans part.
Oh, yes. So, which is good.
That's a pretty good start,
It's a good start, and I have to admit that the drivers that we do have are very passionate about helping other veterans. They do definitely go the extra yard. It's definitely a personalized service.
Yeah, well, they have some personal investment in it.
Yes.
You're giving back to those who have given so much already, and you've done the same.
And I wear my, generally when I'm picking up veterans, I wear my U.S. Army veteran hat. And there are different styles around, and I had one gentleman that, and in all good nature, he said, well, I can't go with you. And I says, well, why not? And he says, I'm Navy.
Yeah.
And like I say, it was all
send me a Navy
it
guy.
was all in good humor.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
great.
we have a good time. But that's part of the, the give and take and part of the camaraderie that the veterans have, that the military has.
It's almost like a brotherhood, isn't it?
It is, and that's part of what gets me into it. My father was in France in World War I. My brother Denny, who I mentioned, he was in Korea. I have uncles that served in Europe. My father-in-law was on a ship in the South Pacific.
What about you?
I was Vietnam era, not in country. I make that distinction. It's not fair to the ones that were over there, but I'm proud of my service.
Yeah, and you should be, and we thank you for it.
But I do make that distinction, and that's where I came from. So there's a military history in my family, but probably that's what directed me to the veterans service, as it will, and it's a great program. I'm enjoying it. It's rewarding.
Good.
It's rewarding. A little bit. I mean, you see some very sad stories.
I bet
and
you
so
do.
forth.
I bet you do.
Like the stand down.
We
ended up starting in rhododendron and working our way in here, but I was. It almost makes the hair stand up on your arms to see what they did for them. I mean, the clothes that were given out, the food that was provided, the help, the vouchers. One gentleman, he was probably the most needy case, but he had applied for a non-service connected disability and just kept getting turned down. There was a man there that helped him fill out the forms, and it was very encouraging. And I just, like I said, goosebumps just talking about it. But that's the rewarding part of it, when you look beyond the depressing part of it.
I'm sure it is rewarding. And we're just about out of time, Chuck and Leslie, but tell me if somebody wants to be a volunteer to drive, or if they need help, they just need to contact Ride Connection, is that correct?
Yes, we have a couple different numbers that will appear at the end.
Okay, and Chuck, if somebody is interested in doing this, and maybe they have their own car, but they can't afford to pay for the gas, will Ride Connection reimburse you for that?
Ride Connection reimburses for cars, and I do both.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to use my vehicle. I was telling Leslie I have an SUV, and fortunately, I just came off of a run, and fortunately, I bought a little step stool for my SUV.
Oh, good.
Because they have difficult, and these people are, not in the best of health, obviously, or they wouldn't need this type of help. But yes, use your own vehicle. You're reimbursed for the gas liberally.
Wonderful.
You're not going to get rich off of it. But I do both, and my vet's hospital runs. I like to take a Ride Connection rig because of the parking up there.
Yeah, there you go. And we are totally out of time. So thank you both so much for being on here. You're doing a wonderful service. And Leslie, it's always a pleasure to see you. So thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
If you want more information on Ride Connection, the Veterans Program, look at our screen. We'll have the information there. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Community Hotline. Be sure to like us there. And this is Monica Weitzel, and enjoyed having you join us today. We will see you next week.
Remember, you can take part in the discussion online. Visit our blog and tell us about your experiences at communityhotline.wordpress.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Facebook page too. You can see what's going on behind the scenes, find out about fun contests we're running, and link to some of the great organizations that have been on at facebook.com/communityhotline Metro East. See you online.